I can't stand.
I'm starting to get to that point where it just.
So much, and I was always getting razor nicks. It's like that. But I have to keep it real short. I don't like it when it gets long.
My daughter worked it.
Open and function, they don't freeze.
Canterbury Council to order. Rise for the pledge, a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lori, would you call the roll, please?
Ron,
Here.
Rick, Mary,
Present.
Here. School, here, Steelman, here, Taylor.
Shortly.
Sorry, I forgot to say, Peter. A little while ago to tell me that her husband had tested positive for COVID, so she is going to spare us.
Yeah.
I know what you meant, but like. Yes.
I had.
That I know of is that we're going to be voting on someone to take the empty seat for the East Ward right after public comment. Are there any other changes or additions to the agenda? Seeing none. In your packet, you have the minutes of the November council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Those minutes, Luke?
Losing it, but I don't think I led the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, I don't remember, and that was why I asked Luke, because I was going down alphabetically and I saw that in the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Why I asked you. I'm pretty positive it wasn't me, though.
Your alphabet is Mexi.
Take the opportunity before I come off of council to do it one more time. Thank you, Vince.
It's Jessica. She's not here to review.
Yes, boom did it. She wasn't even here.
Take it if it moves us along.
Hey, it's trying to make me as accurate as possible, right? Hey, that's the.
Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. You also received, separate from the packet, a corrected version with the minutes of the November work session. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Are there any minutes? Corrections, additions? All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And you also have in your packet the October financial report. The October financial report? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now is time for public comment, and as we have started doing, I'm going to call on people in the order in which people signed up. So Kim Akins. We need to have you state your name and address, please.
Akins, 4212 Airport Road, Indiana.
Great.
All right. I'd like to address two issues that I observed at last month's meeting. And first is your process for selecting a new council member to fill a vacated seat. I believe your current method is extremely unfair to both the applicants and also to you as council members. I listened with interest as the applicants gave their resumes, qualifications, and why they desired to serve on the council. I was impressed that these people came forward and put themselves out there. That's not easy to do. I then watched as some of the applicants had their names verbally turned down while others didn't even have their names voted on. I find your current method extremely unfair and disrespectful to the applicants and would ask that you consider changing it immediately. My understanding of the process is that the applicants need to have their names submitted by a deadline in order to be considered. The one exception seemed to be that a council member from the same district of a vacated seat could put forth a name at the last minute. This too is unfair. Why not have a paper ballot prepared ahead of time with all the applicants' names being voted on for each council member to vote privately, like we do in a normal election? I believe that would be the fairest, most respectful way to do it for both the applicants and for the council members. And then second, I would like to address Mr. Smith's request at the last meeting to simply forgive the $3,000 that the organizers of this past summer's Pride Fest still owes. So first, I should ask, has that been resolved?
We don't normally get involved in that. It has not, it was not forgiven.
Well, okay, I would just like to comment that I thought it was unfair that he asked that of a borough policeman who were contracted that day to simply work for free. That wouldn't be fair to our borough policemen or to any of the other organizations that contracted and had already paid for the events at the IRMC Park this past year.
Thank you. Next, Jonathan Smith.
I'm gonna be short, don't worry. All right, I'm Jonathan Smith. I live on 100 South 5th Street in Indiana, PA. I've been here for about 2 years now. I'm born in Harvard City. I'd like to thank the Borough Council for the opportunity to speak today. And for my fellow residents present, Indiana is lucky to have such engaged and proactive community members. It is in this spirit that I actually address you today. There's a building momentum and urgency at this moment. Our borough and surrounding communities are at a critical juncture, facing challenges that demand strategic and forward-thinking solutions. It is within this urgent context that I stand before you and with a deep sense of excitement and commitment to the prospect of contributing to the Indiana Borough Council. Indiana Borough is rich with qualities that offer incredible potential. If appointed to council, I will use my passion, my knowledge, and experience to foster growth and prosperity in this community. It will offer an opportunity to consider a wider set of alternatives and implement initiatives that address our community's current and future needs. Through the lens of sustainability and a just transition, pathways to an even brighter future are possible. Thank you all for your service and your time here tonight. I yield my time to the chair.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Gardlina. I live in Indiana County. Oh, that was weird.
Was me. Had my phone next to it.
You just asked me not to talk instead of making a microphone. I know you guys don't like me very much because I came in here for 2 months talking about the sidewalks, about you guys saying that you're handicap friendly, but you're really not. You're just trying to put on a show for everybody in the county. And I also want to say that last Saturday, I was threatened by a off-duty police officer or something of the state or of the county that said, because I was exercising my First Amendment right of flipping him off. And he told me that the next time that I would do that, he would get out of his car and either his exact words, he would fucking shoot me and kill me. And I think that is wrong because that's protected by the First Amendment, by several Supreme Court cases. And if you guys are going to be on here, you should know the laws by the government. And I also want to say that I think it's PA 5103.2, no filming in the courthouse, is very wrong and very stupid and disrespectful to the public because it says you can't do it on the grounds of the courthouse or anything like that. And that is going against the First Amendment that we have. And we have the right to view or to film our public officers doing their job. And also, I don't think this is you, but the state police down by Walmart, they don't let you videotape in public areas because they're on private land, they said. I took that to White Township Council already. They're looking into that. And I also want to say that I put a complaint in to an officer. He said that he would email me that day or the next day, and I still haven't got an email from him. So I don't know what the hell you guys are doing to keep this county safe and everything like that. And you guys should have a disability member on the council to help the disability in this county, which you guys aren't doing that at all. And you're just throwing us in the trash and saying that good enough. Thank you for your damn time.
Before we move to the next, because it is relevant, we should make it clear to the public that the way that council members are chosen in the case of resignation is governed by state law. And it's not something that we are free to change. So, is that?
You protest to a higher government than you guys? Isn't it your right as a council member to challenge it? Like every American has the right to challenge it?
Jeremy, you've had your time to speak. Thank you.
had your time to speak too.
We're now moving to the next stage, and do we have a nomination of someone? Stillman?
Jonathan Smith to fill the seat vacated by Gerald Smith, no relation.
Moved in second. We need we probably ought to have a roll call vote on this. Yeah. Right.
Todd.
Yes.
Palazzo. DeBowser.
Yeah.
Ford.
Yes.
Frick. Herring.
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Noel. Sarnicio.
Yes.
Steelman.
Yes.
Taylor. 10 yes. 1.
Welcome, Jonathan. Duly sworn in eventually. Either later this month or actually on January 2nd, we'll have a swearing in for the recently elected people. You could do it at that time too, as part of that group.
We're still gonna meet on the 19th. We're meeting on the work session.
19th, a brief meeting, but we do have a meeting on the 19th. And if you want to vote at it, you're going to have to get sworn in. Session.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Administration, we're going to committee reports. Administration has, because at the last administration committee meeting, we did not have a quorum. All of these are going to need seconds. First is the budget and tax ordinance. Now, you've all seen that we voted on the budget to advertise the budget the last meeting. So this is not new. And the tax ordinance that goes along with it is in your packet. There's no rise in taxes. Taxes are staying the same. So is someone willing to second this motion? Was that second? Yeah, okay. Is there discussion? All in favor?
I would do a roll call.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because this is money. Yes, this is money. I don't know what I was thinking. Yes,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Brick,
Yes.
Newell. Sarnesio. Steelman.
Yes.
Taylor. 10 yes, 1 absent.
the motion to approve the 2024 wage and non-union benefit resolution, which is also included in your packet.
Second.
Ross. Plaza.
Bowser.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Brick. Herring.
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell. Sarnesio. Steelman.
Yes.
Taylor.
Pretty much all we did at the administration meeting, since there wasn't anybody else there besides me. As at least a second member if this absences, but I was it this time. Also, the police were represented at that meeting too, so. Community development, you have anything?
Yes. As I realized I didn't have the right page pulled up as I searched for it awkwardly. I did speak to Sam. Just wanted to know if there's anything specific. Sam, oh gosh, I'm gonna get his last name wrong. Ken, thank you. From downtown Indiana. Just to see if there's any specific information. Obviously, they put out a schedule for the Christmas season. But anything he wanted to highlight. He mentioned that this Saturday, I'm very excited about this. I got 4 kids. I'm very happy about this. There's a cookie tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is asking folks to show up at 11:30 in the morning at IRMC Park. And the way to basically gain access to the cookie tour is to bring an unopened, unwrapped gift or a monetary donation. I'm totally gonna get it wrong. I think it's going to the donations go to the police union. Does that sound right to you at all, chief? The state police, okay. And so I apologize for getting that part wrong, but it should be an interesting event. It's the first time we're doing it, so show up, bring your kids, bring your grandkids, bring your neighbors' kids with their permission.
Actually a kid.
Yeah, right, exactly. So some other things, I mean, there's not a whole, it wasn't a terribly busy meeting. Steering committee will pick back up in January. The consultants and Trajan are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So right now, there's not a lot for the steering committee to do. So they're working hard on that.
On the comp plan.
The comprehensive plan, that's right.
I was gonna mention about the online pet, but I was gonna mention that in my report.
Forgot it this time. Okay, you'll mention it, that's fine. That was pretty much it, yeah.
Good job.
Pretty easy.
Okay, not much to go over. Want to thank everybody for voting to let the police department offer William Clement a conditional offer of employment. One of the things I do want to mention, we get the police department here. I didn't realize there were certifications that they could do for public police departments, like so many organizations have certifications where you go through certain hoops and do certain things, spend some money, of course, and you can become certified. The police department did apply for a grant to get the monies to do this part of the process to cover the finances, and it was they didn't get the grant, but I do want people to realize that they're actively looking at doing what they need to do to meet the qualifications to be a board certified in our state. Another thing that from a grant the board, police department had, applied for, back in the spring, got the grant to get countywide radios so that all our departments are connected with radios. Well, it turns out there's a snafu with the radios. Motorola, who made the radios, has been contacted and they're working out a solution so that the radios can work. But that's still in the process, and hopefully sometime before long in the new year, all our borough police departments and countywide police departments will be able to talk to each other in those cases. And our meeting for the public safety meeting for December is not going to happen unless there's some type of reason to have us have an emergency meeting, but it's close to the holiday, and so we're not going to have the meeting.
I should have noted that the administration committee is not going to meet in December. I assume those same committee development. Yeah. Public Works.
Yeah.
Major invoice from Carroll Works for the South 15th Street project. And that's, the amount is $233,135.91. So this pretty much wraps up that project. There are always a few things to be straightened out, and there's a little money that's being retained, and yes. You think you've come to the end of them. You haven't actually come to the end of them. See, community center building. Okay, but we hope it's not going to turn out like that. But we have this motion. It's been seconded.
It's coming from the committee, so it doesn't need a second here.
The sake of clarity, this is, like you said, that for phase one, this is the final, this would be the add-on to phase one portion of the money, correct? So this was the part, okay, yep.
Go to that person's garage.
Yes. Bowler.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Brick. Yes. Herring. Yes. Reister.
Yes.
Noel. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And yes.
Bring the exciting theme of sewers. We also had there's no group of people who cannot make interesting conversation about drains, according to one of my favorite novels. We had a visit from Dan Wissinger, who is a property owner in the borough, and who had occasion to discover that the contractor who built his house back in the 1950s also built two other houses on what was the same property and ran all the sewage lines together into one line. And when he started having problems with the sewage system, that was discovered. The three houses are no longer on essentially the same property. And in any case, I think that would be a violation of our code. And he was concerned because he's being told what he needs to do, and he wasn't entirely certain that that was absolutely necessary. So the decision was for him to discuss it with Paul Gillis, our Public Works Director, and with some of the people from COG who has a lot of experience with this. And do we have a resolution on that, Nicole?
Engineers and Mr. Wisterndorf, they followed up and they came up with a solution. It's still, they're still gonna run three lines, but tie it in. And the borough then will go back and fix the main at some point in time down the road. So yes, there is a solution. It has been resolved, and I mean, it's still costing them money, but unfortunately, but yeah, he's happy with the solution, so.
Okay, that tied in very nicely and tied. With a sewer issue that we were dealing with over the previous 2 weeks at our house that also started out as something small and got bigger and bigger and revealed a problem that we have with the existing code, which does not in fact reflect the technologies that are currently in use in the 21st century. And that wound up with a discussion with the folks from Reuter and Paul Gellis and representatives from COG. And we now have the only system in Indiana Borough that was repaired using what's called bursting techniques. And it passed inspection, it's fine. We probably ought to modify our code to reflect the fact that this technique is now tested. Folks from COG who've been doing it for more than 20 years are perfectly happy with it. And it's less expensive than the other alternatives. So I think it's very possible that we should be looking at our whole sewer system code in the new year and seeing what we can do to make it more efficient and potentially less expensive, because obviously we've got a lot of old pipes. We probably got a lot of slightly peculiar systems in the borough. And as those become more obvious as they age, I'd really like to see us working to make sure that we get the best solutions at the best price for our residents, because most people are not going to have an easy time swallowing an extra $5,000 or $10,000 bill when it comes to them as a sudden surprise, and we shouldn't make them face that.
Dye testing ordinance will help, like what we're working on, the new dye testing thing.
That's right, that's something else to be looking at.
Make sure this gets in the minutes because we'll need to refer to that at the beginning of the year.
I just wanted to point out, we had similar problems this summer on South 7th Street with a house that one of the Burmese families owns with us, and the neighbor house. We found out when there were sewer problems, they were on one line connected to each other. And for those that in council don't know what COG is, that's the Blairsville, Indiana Council of Governments. We have the big blue truck that's a huge vacuum truck. And then they pretty much do an endoscopy of the sewer lines as a doctor would. There's a panel truck that goes out, it has computers and all, and it can go through all the lines. And our borough and Blairsville Borough had put the money up to get this equipment. And now it's pretty much self-sufficient because we hire it out to all different organizations, and plumbers and other people use it. But it's a big asset that we have, just so you know what COG is. This COG is there's many councils of governments. This is a scope truck and a vacuum truck that also works can blow it out too. It's real impressive for you to get to see it work. In fact, we saved somebody that was in a pit, fell in a pit up along going up to Climber, and the mud kept coming in, and he brought the COG truck in, was able to blow everything out so they could rescue the guy out of this pit. But it's used for sewage and stuff like that.
The problem that we'll be facing oftener and oftener in the future, but what we will be facing oftener and oftener probably is the decay of our existing systems. And it's really fascinating to look at what some of these 100-year-old cast iron pipes are like. It's not fun, but it's interesting. Also, we didn't actually vote on not having a public works meeting in December, but according to the calendar, the public works meeting would be on December the 25th. Get into the borough building at that point. So no, that kind of went without saying. Any questions?
We're looking at an ordinance, to require dye testing when transferring property. So that people know, I mean, you can see a roof, you can see damage on a roof, you cannot see what's in the pipes and the laterals and, especially we've got a big repair coming along with the 537, which also, we got that back from DEP. They want a bigger report. So I know you guys got a report like this, you're gonna get a report like that. So this is a little more detailed, but as we get to that point, allowing residents to be able to repair and know what's going on in their pipes and their sewer laterals will be really beneficial as we go along, because we'll be repairing part of our, but they will also need to repair their lines along the way. And if they can do it without racking up $40,000 that would be great.
Anything else from Public Works? Shade Tree have anything to report?
Just briefly, there will be oak and maple trees will be going into the ground sometime soon on South 7th Street, right close to Philadelphia in the post office. And just like Public Works, there will not be a shade tree commission because it's also scheduled for the 25th.
No. Okay, are there any questions? Yes?
Planting's 100% a go.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And they will be it'll be an oak tree, a maple tree, an oak tree type thing. They'll alternate them.
Be pretty and lots of leaves on the sidewalk.
Was that teacher? Lots of leaves.
Be very pretty and lots of leaves on the sidewalk. No more than the ginkgos do. Okay, any other questions for the Shade Tree Commission? Nicole? Yeah.
Thanks. Just a reminder, if anybody can make it here on December 11th at 5 o'clock, Dr. Perry's class, their grad class, it's a small class, will be presenting some budget presentation. They've been working on it this semester and I've been sending them some information. They did a.
That's right.
Yes, yeah. So they did a great job presenting
What they had so far to me, and it'd be nice if you guys would have the time to come out and at 5 o'clock, that's when their class meets, yeah. So it's gonna be less than an hour, small presentation. The bid opening for the building will take place on December 14th at 1 o'clock. Then we will have the work session to hopefully award the bid on the 19th. This month, we're gonna be reaching out. We have some vacancies in the boards and commissions that their term expires, so we'll be reaching out to those individuals to see if they would like to renew their terms and have it ready for the January reorg meeting. So I'll reach out to we have the library board. We have one opening for the Police Civil Service Commission. They expired, chief, so I'll get with you. Code Enforcement Board has 2 vacancies, 2 terms that expires. And then the Zoning Hearing Board, and then along with Planning Commission, we have received two applications for the Planning Commission. So Shade Tree, Bob Pollock is up for his term, but I'm sure he'll just want to be reappointed. So we'll reach out to them this month and have it ready for January's meeting. That's it.
Just to be a bit more in the weeds with detail, we would very much like to pursue state accreditation. And state accreditation is basically a seal from the state of Pennsylvania that says your police department is following best practices and policies available to law enforcement. And it's always an ongoing process, but you have to rise to that level. It's not an indication that we currently don't. It's just a very formatted way of putting everything in an order so that policy 123 in Bedford, Pennsylvania is the exact same as policy 123 in Indiana, Pennsylvania. So it is costly to do that, and it's not cost prohibitive. It's costly. So we were hoping to get a grant awarded so that it would help Indiana Borough with this process. The grant did not get awarded, but it was of no fault of our own. There were just more applicants than grant money, and our application wasn't selected. So there will be other opportunities. It is a goal. It has been a goal of mine. I've said that in prior year-end reports, and it's going to continue being a goal. You have a police department worthy of accreditation. We need to do it. It's just it's a time and finance issue. But certainly we'll rise to that occasion just as soon as we find the best path to do that monetarily. Calls for service, I could not get that in time for today's meeting, but I will present our calls for service on the 19th meeting. That'll be in your council packet. And then I would just encourage our community to continue shopping downtown Indiana for the holiday season. And when you're downtown, if you see something suspicious, report it right away. Indiana's downtown is a great environment, and the police department just appreciates seeing the activity downtown, and we're always here for everyone.
Steve?
What kind of dollar amount are you talking about for accreditation?
Dollars.
Human resources, Dr. Johnson is beginning her process. So looking forward to that, working with all your departments and your employees to get the best outcome for that. And hopefully she'll have some good recommendations moving forward. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot going on right now at the end of the year. So I will not be at the work session, if that's okay. I'm undergoing surgery next week, and
Ooh, whoa.
it's my annual hip replacement.
Here's
Two of
the
them.
thing.
I had one last year, and this will be 1 year less one day, and we'll do the other one. So I'll be back in January, ready to lift my leg to kick what
Well,
needs kicked.
we're confident that all will go well.
Yes, I hope so. But I will be available by phone if anybody needs me, or if Manager Cephas needs me. Probably after the first couple days. They recommend I don't make any important decisions under narcotics. So hopefully that will be done with by Wednesday or Thursday. So feel free to call if you need me.
Oh, good luck. Okay, Jen, IUP.
So I had shared in advance, just some of the highlights within the last month at IUP, included links so that you could get the full breadth of the story, at your leisure. So we were selected for best for vets listing in Military Times. IUP, we did select our founding dean for the College of Osteopathic Medicine Initiative. So if you didn't have an opportunity to see that, you can see her kind of announcement video that she shared at our National Rural Health Day Conference. I've had the opportunity to meet with her a few times. She's really great, and I think she'll be a wonderful fit for our community. So I'm sure you will all get that opportunity to meet with her as well. Tracy Eisenhower was selected as Executive Director of Research Institute. She had been serving as interim for the past year, so that's good and exciting news there. The preparation for demolition for 5 buildings on campus is underway, and you can see what those 5 buildings are online. So more to come as the long-range facility master's plan continues to move forward. IUP has also been working with Penn Highlands Community College and Westmoreland Community College for collaboration agreements to help students complete their business degrees. We're always looking for more opportunities to partner with some of our local community colleges. Last week, Dr. Driscoll was honored by city and state as one of Pennsylvania's top leaders in the 50 over 50 category. So that's nice. English professor David Hanauer was named into the top 2% of scientists list in the field of education and linguistics. And then finally, IUP was selected as College of Distinction for the 23-24 academic year. And then coming up, which would be the weekend of December 15th, 16th, we have our winter commencement. So you'll see an influx of traffic in town. So
You see again.
news will be at the KCAC. Graduate ceremony is at 9:30 a.m. and undergraduate at 1 p.m. Lots of other things happening too down at the KCAC. You know, basketball is underway. They play on Sunday. Prior to that, they've had some really nice large holiday parties going on with Rosebud Mining and Oberg. So lots of great activity here in Indiana.
They have a huge holiday party. They rent out the building and sell out most of the hotel rooms. That's my understanding.
Stacy was wonderfully lit up for their party.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions for Jen? My time, I don't really have a report. Not been a busy month. For business, we had Thanksgiving and stuff like that, but that was irrelevant. To this, I do want to say that this is the last regular council meeting at which some of these people sitting around the table will be present, at least at the table. I hope you can feel free to come and sit out there with the public because you know more than anybody else now. But wonderful working with people. Many years you've been on the council, some of you for a long time, some less. That's pretty much all I have to say. I had shared with Nicole the idea that I could bring in some of my homemade adult beverage, but I was told that that was not appropriate, so.
You know, you guys can do what you want after the meeting's gavelled out. Move to adjourn.
All right.
Regarding the new season coming in with January, when it comes to email and when it's directed towards the president, if we can discuss proper procedure or be able to work as a team, because I keep finding out that there's emails that are sent to council, but they're not actually released to all of the council. And then to find out afterwards, you know, these miniature discussions on who sent what in, just trying to keep up, just so that we're on the same page when New Year begins with another group, that we find out a good teamwork effort on how to work together when someone addresses council as a whole, but it's not shared as a whole. That's it.
Public safety, last month I mentioned that the fire department started its fund drive and we're into that for a month and it's going along very nicely. And now Citizens Ambulance has their membership fund drive going. So I know that's a lot to have to deal with, but Citizens is going to have a very challenging year in 2024. So it needs support, and the county's in the process of creating what's called an authority that's going to help fund the Citizens Ambulance, what would start in 2025. So it's pretty tricky because it involves the whole county and it's very expensive. So we'll do all we can do to support. And I think Indiana Borough and White Township, we've done a good job to help through this tough time so far. So just keep that in mind because we need the services, that's for sure.
Your checkbooks.
Merry Christmas.
Are there any questions for the mayor? Is there any old business to come before the council? New business? Oh,
We should vote to advertise the committee or the structure, the meeting schedule.
new business. Okay, that's in your packet.
With the county across the street, the room will be available for these dates. Other than the primary and the election date, we'll have to find to meet somewhere else on those 2 dates.
So will be meeting in the courthouse annex. Offices will be moved over there, except for the police. And we will be meeting in the meeting room there on the first floor. Starting in, but not necessarily starting in January, but
February or March, yeah, February or March.
be notified.
How we should, if this is the schedule and you guys wanna, you know. And. Casey, are you guys okay with the setup of the committees, like how it's?
If we're all gonna be there, my only thought the other day was, do we want to have 4 people on a committee versus having all 8, and everyone is invited? But maybe those 4 are the ones that are predominantly speaking during the 2 sets of meetings. So like you have 2 different chairs, but the committee members are the same for, I think, like, works and admin and
Community development, you would have a chair to run those meetings, keep an eye on the time, keep the, you know, the process moving.
Are we calling them required meetings? Because at the end of the last meeting, when we were talking about the attendance policy, they were considered required meetings. The last we had discussed it. If they're considered required meetings,
if you're not on the committee, I guess it's not technically required, but, right.
considered required meetings because everyone was gonna be on them. And now if we go to only 4, are they still considered required?
Before we vote on the schedule,
Better question, does it matter? If it's still the same dates?
Not draft, so that can adjust. Yeah.
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 That anyway, right? So, sorry.
All council members.
The council meeting, yes, so the council meeting and the work session, and I added the word work session to administration, public works and work session. So the council meeting and that work session meeting will still be voting. We'd still have 2 voting meetings a month in case we need it for that third meeting.
I was just wondering if, okay, we have 8 people here, assuming we're all gonna go. I mean, it's the same 3 meetings. But there is, like, you still have the 3, but then there's only 4 people that are predominantly talking and not everyone is talking. Cause at least in my committee meetings, we're not raising hands, like we're just communicate, like the few of us are communicating. And anyone who's there that's a council member is able to raise their hand and talk during the meeting. We do that all the time, but they're not the ones that are just being able to jump in at any time with all the staff and everything.
according, as I read this thing now that I've got it pulled it up in front of me. All members of Borough Council will be at the council meeting and at the work session, which includes the 2 committees, Administration and Public Works. Community development would not require all members to be present.
Yeah, I guess it depends on if we're having a whole council committee or if we're dividing up half and half. So half of us are on one day. I mean, folks are probably gonna go all, but that was the point of doing the 3. Yeah.
This motion on the floor to approve this schedule that.
About whether or not we like the schedule, right? Isn't that what we're talking about?
Stay the same. It's a matter of,
As you pointed out, this made, some of the verbiage might change on here, so, right, so that is.
That verbiage isn't necessarily gonna be in the advertisement. The advertisement is gonna be your dates and times.
Right. And
The
that's
rest
what-
of it's internal stuff that you guys can figure out come January.
can we remove, if you're not gonna advertise it, then I don't have a concern about advertising it. I just. Yeah, that was my
remove
only,
that
like,
from the
if we end up discussing that and that's not how we wanna do it.
We would have to re-advertise that we're voting though. Pat, we need to advertise that these are voting meetings. We have to.
Only 2 voting meetings. Those voting meetings, advertise the other ones as your committee meetings.
This
You can make every meeting a
chart
voting
that,
meeting.
that
when you
says
don't
anything
vote.
about who attends what, which ones. It may be implicit, but it's not explicit. So we can make it explicit now or in January or December 19th or whenever.
The motion on the floor is.
Motion on the
simply
floor is to
to
advertise this.
advertise the dates of your meetings and the types of your
Right.
meeting.
We good then? I don't even know. But no, but Nicole, what's happening on the days isn't gonna change. I think the biggest question is whether or not everyone would have to go to the Tuesday meeting, the second meeting, rather. That's the question. And the point, I think, is that that doesn't actually matter to this moment. Regardless of where we land, this is fine.
We keep saying it's not gonna matter, but we got one more meeting until it matters.
Being split. In by that, if we're like, since we're already talking about it. But the work session meeting. The work session meeting, everyone has to be at both, or we can't be a voting meeting, or we would lose quorum.
That whole side is filled with staff.
Okay,
So if they're all given able to talk, and then there's 8 more people that are all talking as well, that it's gonna make it a little more complicated and chaotic, so. Sure, we can always try it. I was just suggesting maybe we don't do an 8-person.
Also, by having chairs and committees, you're kind of saying this is your workload, this is your workload. I can jump in and help you, but it's separate, and I kind of like having the responsibility lined up.
And you'll have to have separate minutes, right? So you'll have minutes for public safety and community development. So there'll be 2 sets of minutes for that.
that's what we said.
None of that is,
Confirm.
none of the things have changed. I just suggested maybe 8 people have the right to speak without raising their.
Are we ready to vote on this schedule?
Yes? We're advertising, aren't we?
Go for it.
Yes.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Karen. Yes. Lancaster. Noel. Yes. Carnegie. Yes. Stillman. Yes. Taylor. 10 yes, 1 absent.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting's adjourned.
No.
Yes, they're going.